Welcome, everybody, back to the Pro Wrestling Show with your host, yours truly, Justin Clapper. I am very happy to be here with the brand new owner or co-owner of Progress Wrestling in the UK, Mr. Lee McAteer. Lee, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well, sir. I'm actually across the pond at the moment, but so I'm actually on your side of the water, which is nice to be here. But obviously we've got a long history together, JC, and thank you very much for the kind words. Obviously prefer the word custodian rather than owner, but you've called me a lot worse.
Yeah, take it while you can here before it gets too rough. Yeah, obviously we've known each other for a number of years. Very, very excited on this new venture that you started. You know, you are obviously coming out of the pandemic with some very exciting things going on. But let me back up. A long time ago in Atlantic City, New Jersey, I was wearing a CM Punk t-shirt.
That's right.
Unbeknownst to anybody, because it wasn't a very obvious CM Punk t-shirt. And that's how you and I met. You're like, is that a CM Punk t-shirt? And I looked down, and it's the old AC/DC logo, the best in the world. I'm like, how the frick does this guy know that? That's how we started talking about our history in pro wrestling. But for everybody watching, what are your first memories of professional wrestling?
Gosh. Well, I guess before we get to that question, JC, I feel like I need to respond to when I first met you in Atlantic City and kind of giving a bit of background to that. But obviously, I'll and then answer that question. And obviously, when we first came together, when I owned the American brand, which I'm very, very proud of, and now sold it, albeit I'm still doing work with them at this moment in time. But yeah, it was great to be at the Atlantic City Convention Center. Saw you walking around with CM Punk shirt on, and I was like, I need to speak to that dude. And then, of course, one thing led to another, and here we are now. And of course, you've been a massive part of wrestling travel when I owned that as well, and obviously doing some great things now with your own show. And it's just a real privilege to speak to you, mate. And that's why, in fact, this is the first interview that I've given since becoming a custodian of Progress. And obviously that relationship and loyalty I've got with you goes a long way. So hope that means something to you.
Well, 100% it does. 100%.
So I guess to get back to that question, then my first memories of professional wrestling was my first event that I went to was at the Manchester GMEX, and the headline was Bret the Hitman Hart versus Ric Flair for what would have been the WWF Championship. And I remember Shawn Michaels was supposed to be on the show and then didn't turn up. Well, that's what they said, if so my mum and dad told me. And it was Papa Shango versus The Undertaker. And I remember saying to my mum and dad, as a kind of knee high to a grasshopper, basically, because Charles had the smell thing, didn't he, going on, and it was kind of supposed to hypnotize you or whatever. And I'm there going to mum and dad, oh, don't breathe it in, mum, don't breathe it in, dad. And very much obviously love her as you were as a kid. But I was a massive, massive Bret the Hitman Hart fan, huge, massive fan, and had the most unbelievable experience to be able to interview him live for Fight TV at the incredible The Love of Wrestling. And it was a very, very special interview, that's for sure. And as I said to him at the outset, I said, Bret, I very much was that kid from the advert where all I wanted was for you to give me those glasses. That was literally me. So to be sitting here in the ring with you, to interview you about what is an unbelievable life. I mean, what a story. I mean, of course, so many positives, so many negatives in terms of the horrible type of stuff that he's had to experience. But to just be there in the ring with him and experience that was something very, very special and a moment I'll never forget. So that was definitely my first moments. And with my sister, I used to collect the cards, and we always used to try and get what my sister and I referred to as the shinies, which was almost like the logo of that particular talent, and then put it all in. And somewhere in Mum's loft, I think, is still all of those sticker books that we collected. But it was a special time, and I never thought for 1 minute that I would end up, of course, creating Wrestling Travel, and now being in the position that I am with Progress and TNT, and it's a really, really exciting time. I just feel so privileged and honoured to be a part of it, and I'm very blessed to have some incredible people around me. I can't emphasise how happy I was when Martyn, or Bestie as I refer to him as, decided that he would come on board as part of this adventure, because I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at, and I'm bad at a lot of stuff, and I'm very open to what I'm bad at. But it's about getting the right people around you, and I feel like we've got a really special team that can do some really cool stuff. Everybody's going above the call of duty, and whilst it's not my place to say whether or not the first 2 shows have been a success or not, I'm really proud of the talent. It's been so amazing meeting all the fans, and I'm just so excited for the entire thing. And here I am now in New York, and who knows what that might mean and what the future could hold. But it's a really, really exciting time, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it.
Well, you know, certainly as your friend, I'm very excited, and as a wrestling fan, based on the first 2 shows that I've been able to. I haven't been able to watch the second one yet, but I definitely have seen highlights. But I feel like
it's not out yet. The second one, we're actually working on that on the edit this morning, actually. But it's, again, appreciate I'm biased, but I'm really happy with the second show.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, I'm happy with both of them, and we're gonna have to back up a little bit because you kind of unpacked a lot of stuff there in your answer.
I'm just excited to speak to JC. Like I said,
I'm excited too.
You know, I've not done any interviews or anything, and the main reason for that is because I don't. The talents are the ones that deserve the eyeballs, and that's what we're trying to do. You know, we're trying to create a platform that's going to get more mainstream media, that's going to generate a lot more traction for British professional wrestling. And I want the spotlight and the onus to be on them. That's what I want it to be. And that's why I've held back until now to do an interview. But of course, our relationship is a very strong one. And I was absolutely delighted when you asked me whether or not I would come on your show. And so, yeah, I guess I'm like an excited puppy, just wanting to speak about it all, I suppose, JC. So,
well, we're 2 friends who thought, hey, when he has time, he'll come on my show. And you're thinking, hey, when is he going to invite me on the show? So we're just kind of like in the same room going, well, I don't want to bother him. He's busy. And you're going, I'm waiting for him to invite. What can you, granted, I love to have a little bit of clickbait. So I'm going to make sure, but because I'm your friend, I don't want to talk anything. I want to know what can you tell us, myself and everybody watching this, about the process of purchasing Progress? That's a big deal. Can you go into a little bit of detail without giving anything away that you can't talk about? Like, how did this start to come about, and how did it come to fruition?
Good question. From having Wrestling Travel and working with some fantastic promotions, I got a good idea in terms of what was happening, what I felt was needed for a promotion to be able to get to that next level, in my opinion, and also from the experience that I've had from travel, events, media, football, and stuff like that. And it was always something that really intrigued me, and humbly, I'd been asked by a lot of promoters over the years to support them, sponsor them, get involved with them, and it kind of gave me an inclination that maybe this is something that I wanted to do, or at least look at. And I obviously had a really good relationship with TNT, being the fact that it was on my doorstep in Liverpool. But I think what people might not know is that before the pandemic, I mean, I guess to kind of pat this out there a little bit more, is I parked my car up outside of the Wrestling Travel / Americamp / Invasion.com offices on what was the 4th of March 2020, what was supposed to be a 5-day conference, to the conference that we normally meet at, JC, the the American Camp Association at Atlantic City. And then, of course, what happened. I ended up getting stuck in America. And then I didn't want to go into lockdown in the UK. So I ended up traveling to Portugal. And I was literally in Portugal for the best part of 13 months. And I'd gone from having the most hectic and busiest lifestyle you can possibly imagine to a very different lifestyle with a little bit more time to reflect, a little bit more time to think about what it is that I wanted out of life and where things were going. And in that period of time, we sold the Invasion Camp Group to Intrax. There was a whole host of other things that were going on behind the scenes. And I think it was in March, I received a call from somebody that was working behind the scenes on Progress, somebody that you know. And I chatted with him, and at that particular point, and I don't think I'm betraying confidence in saying this, is that Progress was going through a very difficult time because of what was being spoken about. And I wanted to help, and he reached out to me asking for any advice. And I wanted to help purely because I'm a massive fan of British wrestling, and it was really important that things were learnt upon to be able to make the industry a much better place to be. And the conversations carried on and carried on and carried on. And then one thing led to another. I had a sit down with it was myself, Bestie, and John Briley, and we sat down in London. It was the first time I'd been back in the country for 13 months. I actually isolated for 10 days. And it kind of went from there, really. And then one thing led to another. Didn't quite know if it was going to happen or not. In the meantime, there was already a report out from Alex McCarthy for TalkSport about the fact that I was looking to make an impact in the wrestling industry from a British perspective. I saw all the rumours and what people were thinking, and it's fair to say they didn't think it was Progress, or of course ended up being as well TNT. And it was a bit crazy. It really, really was. I never thought it was going to happen, actually, if I'm being totally frank with you. I really, really didn't. And then the more we got into it, the more we looked into it. And then it was like, before you knew it, it was like, oh gosh, I think we've got a deal here. Are we going to do this, Bestie? I remember Bestie looking at me going, bloody damn right, we're going to do this thing. This is going to be fantastic. We're going to kick some ass here. We're going to do some really, really cool stuff. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot more to that story, but you know, I'm very much somebody who tries to stay private on the information that people give to me in confidence, and I'll always be that way, because to me, trust is everything, and I never want to be accused of betraying anybody's trust. But I just feel as though Progress is a very, very special brand, and I want to get it back to the heyday that it once had. And I really believe that I've got some amazing people around me. And yes, we're going to make some mistakes, absolutely no doubt about it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm Vince McMahon or I'm somebody that's got a whole host of experience in terms of being what you would class as a typical wrestling promoter. But what I do have is passion. What I do have is experience in a whole host of other sectors. And I've got great people around me and the perfect business partner in Martyn Best. And hopefully, collectively, we can kick some ass and help bring British professional wrestling back to where it was, and not just from a UK perspective, but on a global level. And we've got big plans to take Progress all around the world. But of course, we've got to start with somewhere. We've got to start with the foundations. And we're obviously only had 2 shows so far, but we've got some huge plans. And I really hope that it all comes together to the point where everybody loves what we're doing, benefits everybody, more eyeballs on the talent, and we can grow the scene together.
Now, does it I got a million questions, but I guess the one that it all boils down to is, as new custodians of Progress Wrestling, and me knowing you, and I'll speak for you, you're passionate about professional wrestling, particularly British professional wrestling, and you definitely want to be a positive to that. But are there pressures when you take over to sort of put your own stamp on stuff? And did you and Martyn Best making that purchase, did that re-energize some of the people within Progress, do you feel? Or are we still too early to tell? Because I got to tell you, from the outside looking in on these last two shows, and anybody can do it, not just me, go on social media and see what the fans are saying, and they're buzzing about it. It seems like you guys have really hit the ground running. Now,
I mean, again, it's for others to judge as to whether or not we're doing a good job and whether or not it's entertaining enough. One of the things that Bestie and I did from the outset is that we wanted to really rebuild the wrestling community, and especially work with the Club Progress fans, specifically because A, I wanted to build up the relationships with them. B, I wanted to understand exactly where their thought process were at, and also to take their advice as to how we should move this forward, given the circumstances that we inherited. And I feel as though those experiences, and I can't thank the Club Progress members enough for giving me their time and speaking to me. And at points, I'd completely lost my voice. I had COVID at one point when I was speaking to people, but I was so desperate to just speak to as many people as I possibly could, given the circumstances, for us to be able to work out where this needed to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I had a good idea in terms of what I felt was required to move Progress on into a new era, but I need the buy-in from all the Club Progress members, so we're on this journey together. And also, as well, is Progress needed to build back some relationships and to regain people's trust. And I'd like to think that we've started with that. And I'm incredibly proud of the first two shows. But I've still got a hell of a lot to learn. Absolutely no doubt about it. I've learned so much already in such a short period of time. But I can't lie to you. I mean, actually, I'd say here's the thing, and JC, you know this because I've worked with you for a long time, is that I will never, ever ask someone to do a job that I either haven't done myself or wouldn't be prepared to do myself in the future. And I understand that people have got opinions, but it was funny for me looking on Twitter when, so I was on the balcony at the ballroom and people were accusing me of being a mark. And I suppose anybody that's in wrestling to a certain extent is a mark, because that's why we love it. But of course, I had my phone out when Anthony Ogogo was coming out, amongst other people. But what they don't know is because I was also the one doing the social media. Because again, there's no job that I wouldn't do myself or wouldn't be prepared to do myself. And of course, it's a matter of perspective and working with facts rather than rumor and hearsay and innuendos. But it's just such an exciting journey, and I'm so excited for where it's going. You know, our next show is going to be back at the ballroom on February 20th, and we've got Swerve, we've got Jonathan Gresham, but there's so many amazing.
We'll have to edit that out. Just said Zoom quit on me unexpectedly was the message I just got.
Okay, no problem.
So you were talking about, just kind of continue from where you're at. You're doing the social media. I'm going to do this so I know to cut this part out. But we're talking, I just don't know where you ended for that. I was so shocked.
No, I don't know, mate. I can just go off on one if you want.
Let's moving on from that. You're talking about doing everything with Progress now. There was an interview that came out with you and Martyn Best right soon after you guys purchased, or the purchase was made official. And there's been a lot of talk about a forbidden door. You guys actually, before this forbidden door talk got really huge, you guys actually said, hey, we want to have a revolving door. And I'm going to pause and go back, because just in case you're watching the re-edit here, we got interrupted. My Zoom quit. But what I want to back up on is I've been in the business now since 1997. And I've taken a lot of heat from the guy, oh, you're a mark. you'll go and get. I went out of my way to get a picture, an autograph from Baron von Raschke, because he was a childhood hero of mine, and I had since misplaced any autograph I had from him. But I think if you're not a fan of this business, what are you doing in the business? We all are. You hit the nail on that. We all are a mark at some point, at some level, and that's what I think is great about your level of fandom, and now taking over TNT, Progress, and whoever else you're going to be helping.
Is that a spoiler alert there, JC?
Well, I don't know whoever. Well, because I don't know. You guys are the custodians of this. I know you're 50% helping out with TNT, and I know you. I know you. And if I could say one thing to everybody watching, you're a fan of the business, and you like to support good professional wrestling. And I know that's your heart. That's mine too. I want to be able to help out. Well, but going back, you actually, before the forbidden door phrase, you guys said, I want to be a revolving door. Like, I want Progress, like people to come in and out. And I was so happy to hear that. Because not only, okay, we can break down these doors and have different people compete under our roof here at Progress, but not just big names. I feel like when you guys said that, it wasn't just talking about, oh, we'll have a John Cena come in and just kind of make us look good. I had a feeling that it was like, yeah, we'll take the big names, but we'll give opportunities too. Am I right on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's something that Bestie and I were speaking about in detail, and I can't take credit for the phrase because Bestie came out with that beautifully. And it's a revolving door with a welcome mat at every entrance, and it's the fact that everybody's welcome at Progress. And I think it's fair to say is that we've caused a few surprises in terms of who we've had on the show so far, and I'm sure there's going to be many more surprises to come. But you look at the last show that we did, when you've got the Women's World Championship headline in the card, you've got the Men's World Championship on the card, you've got the Tag Team Championships, you've got an Impact Wrestling star, you've got the Ring of Honor World Championship, and the NXT UK Champion all represented on the same show. I'd like to think that that's something that shows that you never know what promotion might be covered in terms of when you come to a Progress show. But at the same time, what Progress did was it built stars from the very beginning. And we cannot move away from that. We've got to help build the next generation of stars. And one of the things that myself and Bestie and the team have been doing is that we've been going to a lot of other independent promotions out there and seeing some of the talent perform, because we want to build relationships up, not just with the talent, but the other promotions, because one of the things that we want to do is we want to embrace the promotions in the UK. We don't want to not say we're not going to work with somebody. What we want to do is that we want to try and be of benefit to the entire British professional wrestling scene to help one another. And that's why you'll see me engage with a Wrestle Carnival, a Wrestle Island, Catch North. There's some great promotions out there, and I'm sure there's a lot more out there which I've not named. But the only way we can make the scene better is by working with one another to maximize what we have. And at the same time, we have to raise the standards of how British professional wrestling is put on. Now, one of the biggest, from the first show, we had a talent on there who's very well known, who basically turned around to me and said, wow, I can't believe the amount of paperwork that we're having to do. This is like WWE or AEW. And I took that as a massive, massive compliment, because that means that we're raising the standards by default. And we're doing a lot of stuff that, to the best of my knowledge, other promotions aren't doing. And we're trying to raise that standard. At Progress, we have a male and female paramedic on the shows that are on hand. We have a physio on hand as well, amongst other things. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we're really, really proud of, which, with respect, I'm not going to say exactly the full level of detail on that, because it's for others to talk about rather than me to come across as if it's some sort of boast about how we do things better than everybody else, because it's certainly not about that. But what we're trying to do, we're trying to raise the standard, very similar to what we've done or experience that Bestie's had in basketball and football, and I've had some experience in football in that regard. And if we can work with one another, it's going to be better for everybody. And that's why you'll see Progress and myself and Bestie engage with other promotions, because we are looking for what the next opportunity might be. We are looking for what that next talent might be. And at the same time, whilst I'm not going to tread on the toes of the person that's looking after the creative of Progress, what I have done is give him options for people that I think could make a big difference. And that's about working together. But the way I work is that I try and get people around me that, quite frankly, are better than me, give them a steer and allow them to do their thing, and for me to try and support them as best as I possibly can. And don't be wrong, I don't always get it right. I'm very, very passionate, very, very passionate. And sometimes my passion can be taken the wrong way with certain people, but it's because I care and I give a shit. That's the reality of how I work. And for me, if you're good to me, I'll be great to you, but it works two ways.
100%. Now, I want to be very respectful of your time, so just give me a couple more questions here. Now, there is no rest. I know you personally. All right, and if you had a character flaw, you have a very good character trait, which is also your character flaw, I believe, is you bust your ass and you work hard and you work hard and you work hard and you don't ever let it rest. Have you been able to take a deep breath for a minute to look back on these last two shows and just kind of take it in? And I'm not gonna say you're never gonna be 100% satisfied, I know, but been able to smile and just reflect on what's been a whirlwind since December 31st.
I think the first time I was able to do that, ironically, was walking through Manhattan last night on my own after meeting up with a friend of mine that I met at Camp Winnedu many years ago. And it was probably the first time I'd actually had an opportunity to just walk, think, reflect a little bit. But I'm a great believer that almost like a car analogy, you've got to keep looking forward, because if you keep looking at your rear view mirror, at some particular point, someone's going to swipe you and you're not going to be able to move forward anymore. And there's so much to do, so much to learn. But I'm incredibly proud so far of what we've managed to achieve, what we've managed to do. But we've got a lot to do and we've got a lot to learn, and it's still going to take some time. But I'm so thankful for everybody that's helped me so far on this journey, that supported me. You obviously, I'm going to speak for you, JC. You were one of the people that I came to about Progress and about me purchasing Progress. And again, that's because I respect you so much for what you've done in the business, your ability, and everything that you've done and helped me with over the years. And of course, there was a number of other people that I came to in the beginning. Mike Mad Dog Angus. I remember sitting down with him in the Wellington pub in Bevington, and I said to him, I said, Mad Dog, I've got some news, and I really need your input on this. So for those who are watching this that might not have heard of Mike, Mike is a very well-known ring announcer that works on a whole variety of shows all around the UK. He was somebody that was also at the same school as me, wonderful character, great fun, and is a really important part of Progress and moving forward. And I said to him, I said, Mike, you know that article that went out in TalkSport a little while ago that said that I might be investing some money into the wrestling business. Because he goes, well, I did wonder that. He goes, but I presumed it was just maybe, you know, you're kind of helping out, you know, TNT maybe or something. I said, well, I still intend to do that. But I'm in talks to buy Progress. I'll never forget, literally, he almost fell off his chair and he had a pint in his hand and he went, you what? You know, and it's funny because, you know, you look back at those kind of moments now and you look at what the future could hold. And I mean, even just talking about this, JC, to be honest with you, is weird, because it still seems like a dream to me that all this has happened. And it's just so exciting. But we've just got so much to do, and therefore, on that basis, we don't have enough time to reflect upon it, because before you know it, the next show will be around, the next show after that, and we've got to keep going.
So, and not that I'm kayfabing anybody by, you know, pretending I didn't know what was going on. I was with you on the fact of, you know, the talks were here and then they would. So I actually never thought it was, you know, I wished you the best of luck, but I thought, man, it just seemed like it was 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It was a Paula Abdul song for those of you in the 90s. But then when it actually came to fruition, I was happy. But then the funny part was I am part of the quote unquote inner circle, but I kept finding out that circle was a little bit bigger than I had known. I'm talking to guys that are also on your inner circle, and we both know stuff, but we're both keeping our mouths shut. And, you know, and then to find out like somebody like Mad Dog, who, man, I can't say it. I don't want to turn this into the Mad Dog show, but what a great dude.
He should have his own show though, JC. I'm sure we'd both subscribe to that, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've actually been in talks with Mad Dog and Stewie Palmer.
Yeah.
So we got to do our own podcast or something, because I get a kick out of those guys. And you could probably tell if you follow podcasting. I'll have a guest on, and then Stu will have one on, or vice versa. So we help each other out as much as we can. We both got a pretty exciting guest coming up here that I'm excited to share the podcast with. And you said take a look in the rearview mirror. Let me take you back in an attempt to get a funny story for everybody. Speaking of the rearview mirror, 2019, I find myself in Toronto, Canada, with yourself, watching SummerSlam. You are on my left and go, hey, JC, let's get a selfie. So we get a selfie, and you're showing me the picture, and lo and behold, who's in the background?
Well, we had to say hello to him, didn't we? You know,
yeah. How cool was that? We turn around, Lee's showing me the picture, and it's Billy Corgan, who had just was taking a lot of heat for purchasing just the NWA name. And you know, normally what I would do is leave a guy like that alone. But there was nobody in between the seats between us. I reached out, shook his hand, and said, hey, I want to thank you for what you're doing, or what you're about to do. He was about to put the NWA in the studio. And you remember he told us, hey, I'm all about what I grew up on, just 2 big guys beating the stuffings out of each other. And how great, and it's still going on. And unfortunately, the pandemic, was a damage to a lot of us, but really the NWA. But how great was that NWA show? I know you and I would talk about it constantly.
I absolutely loved it, and docking into the fire. And obviously, remember when we met Mr. Corgan, and he was telling us a little bit more about everything that was going on, and it was absolutely fantastic. And we were, that first series that came back, I mean, we were hooked, weren't we? And you know, God rest his soul, the question mark. You know, we bought question mark T-shirts, didn't we? We thought it was the whole gimmick was just absolutely magnificent, and it was just such a wonderful old but new take on professional wrestling. And I think it was just, I really enjoyed everything that happened in that first season.
Our
Albeit I have to
plans
say,
were to go to
I
the
can't lie.
Crockett.
I did tweet them and say, "Why on earth have you got rid of Docking as the theme
Yeah.
tune?" I was devastated by that. I was just like, "What's going on?" And I can't lie. I did tweet.
Yeah, we got chastised on Twitter for that because I got tagged in your tweet and like, oh, believe me, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to. You know what it really wrecked for us is we definitely had said we were flying high, things were going really well, like a lot of people, and then the pandemic hit. But one of the things that was definitely on our radar, and that at the time I was like, yeah, we can swing this, we can afford this. The Crockett Cup he was bringing back, and now they are bringing it back now this year, but. Yeah, we're busy. So I wish them all the luck. In closing, I always like to give my guests the last word. Where can the fans follow you, follow Progress, TNT, anything else? Can you drop some socials? And as always, you have the last word.
Well, in terms of the last word, it might go on a little bit, AJC, because I feel like I need to talk a bit more about TNT and how excited I am about what we're doing with TNT. And obviously, we announced recently that there's going to be some very interesting stuff down the road with GCW. You know, I had a great chat with Brett Lauderdale the day before we made the announcement, and really excited about what TNT is going to do, and who knows what the future holds between with TNT, Progress, and whoever else knows what is around the corner. But it's so exciting. And I have to say, if you've not seen, well known as Britain's best kept secret when it came to professional wrestling, and I don't think the secret is there anymore. I do think the secret is out, and I appreciate that was very much part of the video and the concept and the treatment idea. But you know, if you've got the opportunity, go to Powered 4 TV, check out all the great stuff that's been happening with TNT. It's a fantastic promotion that's got some really big plans, and I'm very excited about that. And it's funny because when we had the Progress show in Manchester, and it's the only time this is ever going to happen, but we had a TNT show on in Liverpool and a Progress show in Manchester the same day. And unfortunately, that was just how the cookie crumbled, so to speak. But it was unbelievable seeing how many people at Progress were wearing TNT stuff on. I've got TNT. Do you know, I'll tell you why I've got TNT on the brain, because I've got, you see behind me here, JC, I've actually got a Tranmere shirt here, which I'm actually sending to a friend of mine.
All right, let's see who this is for. Oh,
Jarrett 4, because obviously he was part of the 4 Horsemen, right?
very nice, Jeff Jarrett.
So that's why I've got that on the brain, because I need to post that later. But no, it's really exciting. Very excited about what we can do with TNT. Really excited with Progress. But to watch TNT, then you get the opportunity to watch that on Powered 4 TV, and the guys behind Powered 4. Great bunch of guys who have got something that I think could be truly special, and I really want to try and put those guys over, because they've been great with us. And then when it comes to Progress, you can watch that on Peacock if you're in the States. You can watch it on the WWE Network all around the world, albeit I believe if you're in the Philippines or in Indonesia, I believe it's now on Disney Plus. I believe from something that was sent through the other day. Yeah, I believe so. And then of course it's the WWE Network everywhere else. And if you want to see the full shows in detail, then please go to Demand Progress, and you'll be able to see, amongst other things, bonus matches such as Anthony Ogogo's debut on Progress at the Electric Ballroom. So things like that, you're able to see, and yeah, it's super exciting.
Now let me, feel free not to answer this, because I don't want to get heat anywhere else. We talked about this in private and just via text message. Tony Khan. So this is February. What are we? February 11th, February 10th today. Went a week ago and said, I got the greatest signing. Somebody's walking through the forbidden door. And we've got this. And now he's done this before, and it was Christian. And to people were like, oh, boo. Now, last night, I believe he's trying to cover just a kind of a slip up. Keith Lee, he had on last night. That technically isn't a Forbidden Door guy because he's a free agent, but they had Jay White on there. And I said it before with the Christian, and I'll say it again. Had he not said anything, been really a lot more vague, that Christian thing would have been huge. But in the fans, we build it up like, it's going to be Cena, it's going to be Nick Bockwinkel, it's going to be, whoever. Now, Ilya Dragunov on that last show. Now, I know you personally, and I had no idea that was coming up. But is that, I'm so glad that there was no, at least I didn't see it, but there was no rumblings or rumors that he was going to show up, because that was huge. Just watching the video clip of the fans. How did that come about? And were you just smart enough not to leak it?
Well, I think first and foremost, and this is a big part of what we're trying to do in raising standards, is that there is a huge amount of paperwork that a talent has to fill in to be on a Progress show. And that includes criminal background checks, codes of conduct, a whole variety of policies, and it is a lot of extra work that we do. And the reason why I say that is because the element of surprise in British professional wrestling can be a bit of a moot point, because some people want to know they want to know exactly who's on the show for one reason or another. Now, so far in terms of surprises, we've had Anthony Ogogo from AEW, and we've had Ilya, who's obviously the WWE NXT UK champion. And one of the things that, and this takes time, and we've got to build that trust up, but if anybody's coming to a Progress show, they need to know that they can trust myself and Bestie, that whoever it is that we're bringing on, we have done as much due diligence as we possibly can, given the circumstances, that the person that's going to be coming onto the show is somebody that has filled out all of our codes of conduct, protocols, etc., etc. And the reason why I say that is because, as a fan, first and foremost, if you were to know exactly who was going to be on, say, for example, the Royal Rumble, so you're wearing a Royal Rumble t-shirt there, JC. For me, I think that takes away the magic of wrestling. And one of the things that Progress used to do very effectively was it never used to necessarily announce who was going to turn up. And that was part of the intrigue and another reason as to why you'd want to attend a Progress show. And yes, we could have probably driven a whole host of more eyeballs if we were going to say to people that the NXT UK champion was going to be at the show in Manchester. But at the same time, we're trying to create a level of intrigue that you never know who's going to turn up at that revolving door.
I love it. I love it. That's like I said, and I love TK. He got to meet him very luckily in Baltimore. Very nice guy. Shook my hand right away out of everybody in the room. So it's no disrespect, but I was like, man, as soon as when he opens his mouth and says, we've got something huge coming up, I always kind of bite my tongue and go, oh no, because Twitter can be a cruel, cruel world, can it?
It can. I mean, it's at the end of the day, I mean, you know this just as well as I do, is that if you're out there in the public spotlight, you're there to be shot at, for better or for worse. But for me, I've got no problem in taking constructive criticism, providing it's constructive. If it's just abuse, and if it's slanderous, libelous, whatever, then we will not take that line down in any shape or form. We just will not, and I cannot emphasize that enough, we will not accept it in any way, because actually there should be an unwritten code of conduct between the management teams, the fans, and the talent, is that whilst everyone can and should have an opinion, is that we should all try and look after each other in as best a way as we possibly can. And dare I say it, go back to a previous phrase that was very well known on Progress of don't be a dick. And that's exactly how it should be, and why I welcome a public opinion. If somebody doesn't like a particular match, if somebody doesn't like a certain talent, for whatever reason why, then people are going to let me know about it. And I've had, tweets, good, bad, indifferent, tweets that have happened without being tagged in, that people then try and show me or whatever. But at the end of the day, everybody does things differently. And when it comes to Tony, he's obviously got his football interests as well. And albeit he definitely supports the wrong team, he should definitely be a Tranmere fan. But we all know that, that's for sure. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be a Tranmere fan? I'm hoping that every Progress fan by default, if they haven't got a team, wants to be a Tranmere fan. That's for sure. But everybody does things differently, and it's not my place to comment as to whether or not I would have done something similar to Tony. We've shown how we've done things so far, but it may well be that we do things that isn't everybody's cup of tea. But I mean, fair play. Obviously, Keith Lee's got a fantastic history with Progress, wonderful talent, and wish him all the best. And the more eyeballs that are on professional wrestling globally, it can only be a good thing for anybody that's within the business. So bring it on.
Well, the good news is as you continue to grow in your role over there, and eventually, if Progress is able to, it's going to get, dare I say, maybe more popular here in the States. A lot of people, we're just discovering soccer ourselves, so we've got a built-in, hey, let's follow Tranmere.
Well, do you know what? It's. I mean, again, first and foremost, why wouldn't you want to follow Tranmere? But interestingly, from all the facts and figures that we've got, about 50% of our online audience is American. So we do have a pretty good foundation for what we're trying to potentially achieve with Progress here in the States. I say here in the States because I'm actually here in the States. Normally,
here in the States, yeah.
But it's it's very exciting, and there's some brilliant talent that are out there at the moment. So many talented people. But what do they need? They need an opportunity to showcase their skills in a safe environment in which they know that their performance and their talent's going to be welcomed by the fans. And I have to say as well, is that moment, seeing all the fans come back in and being back at the ballroom, I cannot even begin to tell you how special that was. I mean, I'm an emotional guy at the best of times, but I actually walked outside around the corner and I wanted to meet everybody because I'd spoken to, I mean, gosh, I must have, between Bestie and I mean, gosh, I think I made 282 phone calls, I think it was in total. And Bestie made the rest. And going around the corner and seeing, I mean, I'm really not being over the top when I say this, is that the lines, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And to think that we were putting on that first show, I mean, don't be wrong, it created a whole host of new pressure, at least it did for me internally, for us to be able to deliver. But I thought to myself, do you know what? We've got a real opportunity to bring back a wrestling community via Progress that we can really deliver upon. And I did. And when I walked away, I had some tears in my eyes because it was like, wow, we've got something so special here and we've got to really make the most of it. And that's also why, and okay, people might think it's just some sort of buzz phrase or whatever, and that's down to them to make an opinion on it. But the reason why we say custodians is because for me, it's like a football team. You never really own a football team. You're the person that's, dare I say it, trying to put it in the right direction for the better good of everybody. And for me, that's what a wrestling promotion should be. You've got people that will love and die for a particular brand because they're so passionate. Okay, maybe that's over the top in terms of saying dying, but you get the point I'm trying to say. And I just don't want to let anybody down. Yeah, figuratively, yeah. But it was, I had tears in my eyes when I saw everybody queuing up there. And I suppose this is like, because I said, as you know, JC, this is the first interview that I've given. And I suppose when you reflect on things like this in the moment, it's something that I'm incredibly proud of. And the ticket sales are incredibly strong for the next show at the Ballroom, which is going to be headlined by Swerve and by Cara Noir. What a talent, by the way, Cara Noir is. unbelievable. If you haven't seen his entrance and how good he is, please make sure you check out one of his matches. He is unbelievable, and I appreciate I'm incredibly biased, but he really is. It's to see his entrance and to see his level of performance is unbelievable. It really is, and obviously there's a lot of people that are now gunning for his Progress World Championship, that's for sure, and the line is getting longer, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. But he's got to beat Swerve first of all.
That's right. He's always got to get through whoever's next. People, just a comment. I'm over here in the States, so you're in the States right now, but it's easy for us here in the States to forget how long you guys over there were locked down, where you couldn't have live professional wrestling. You couldn't go to events. It was a lot longer. In fact, the pandemic really started over here in March of 2020, and in June here in Wisconsin, we could do shows. So really, and then you guys are just having that return, and it's remarkable, the passion that the fans have. But I did cut you off with a couple more questions, so please, you got a lot of social media to get through here. If I want to follow TNT, if I want to follow Instagram, TikTok.
Well, if you want to follow me personally, but only if you're going to say nice stuff, obviously.
Right.
My Twitter's at Mr. Lee McAteer. Facebook is also /Mr. Lee McAteer. On Instagram and TikTok, it's at Lee McAteer. For Progress, this is _Progress on Twitter, and it's Progress Wrestling on Facebook, and this is _Progress on Instagram. And for TNT, it's at TNT Extreme Res, WRES, across the majority of the platforms there. And if you're not following us, it'd be great if you give us a follow and watch one of the shows. And we'd love you to be a part of this journey with us.
I don't even know if I should point this out, but I'd feel terrible if I didn't. How can I follow? I don't know, the Tranmere Rovers.
Well, I mean, again, why are you not following Tranmere already, JC? We're second in the league, and it's a really exciting time to be a Tranmere fan at the moment. Really, really exciting. We're playing some great football, and we're so fortunate to have such an unbelievable chairman and vice chairman in Mark and Nicola Palios. Absolutely incredible to have those guys, and I love working with the team. Very, very much so. But very simply, it's just at Tranmere Rovers.
Perfect.
Across all social media channels.
All right. Well, from my heart to Britain's best boss, you'll never get rid of that tag, Mr. Lee McAteer. I hope that I can have you on again now that we got all the nitty gritty out of the way, and we're able to talk about some fun stuff going on in the future. So thank you for being your first interview since the takeover. That sounds like an NWA angle, but thank you, sir.
Well, again, no, thank you very much, and it's very much a team effort. I'm so thankful that Martyn Best has come across, has become part of this journey with us, and I'm sure you'll need to interview Bestie as well. That's for sure. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much to any of the Progress or TNT fans or the Tranmere fans that are listening to this, and we really hope that we can do you proud. But again, nothing about the team. And JC, thank you so much on a personal level for being there through me through thick or thin. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing together in the future, and watch this space. So thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having us.